All right, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds show. Hell of a weekend of football. Good grief. Last night's game, 40-40. OT, Dak Prescott was awesome. Jordan Love made some hella plays too. And that's a tough one. I don't like that overtime. I don't. As much as NFL people make fun of college football overtime rules, I do not like the fact that you can tie. I mean, Bear Bryant was right. It's like, I don't have a sister. I mean, right. Jackson does, but he said it's like tying a football game is like kissing your sister.
Right. It's just not supposed to happen.
It's just not supposed to happen.
This is a competition. You got quarters. You're keeping up with stats. Finish the ball game.
Right.
I don't want to tie.
Don't do it to me.
Wow.
No.
So, look, either do it the baseball way or do it the college football way. Look, if baseball slugs it out, they keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going.
Fair enough.
College also obviously has the best model.
This is for Alabama and Ole Miss over the weekend.
We have a saying around our place, we eat off the floor. And if you're willing to eat off the floor, you can be special.
Well, that was Kirby Smart a couple years ago, and his Georgia team was not willing to eat off the floor.
Can't find the floor.
Saturday night with the home game against Alabama. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and Lounge. Bet $50 there. Play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $40. Bet 50, play 40 on the property of Pearl River Resort. Jackson says it's giving away money.
Yeah, I mean, it's free.
Free money.
You play golf for free.
Play golf for free. Bet 50, play 40 on the property of Pearl River Resort. You got another big weekend of games, including Texas at Florida, for Texas to finally get into the SEC League play. So we're live in the Bank Plus studio, and I want to unpack Week 5, and then we'll bring on Tom Luganbill with ESPN at 9:30, Steve Robertson, Hail State Insider at 8:15, and we may have an LSU, former LSU player at some point in between to talk about the disaster on the offensive side of the football at LSU. It's amazing that they can be that bad with that talent on the offensive side of the football. But Ole Miss is 3-0 in conference play. 3-0.
That's great.
Alabama with a big win at Georgia, and Tennessee goes on the road, beats Mississippi State. That was a hell of a football game. Bama's 1-0, Ole Miss 3-0, and then you got some other 1-0 teams, Missouri and Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. Can you believe that Vanderbilt will be showcased on game day?
That's incredible.
Game day's going to Tuscaloosa for Vandy, Bama.
Yeah.
Have we ever said that?
No.
Okay.
No way. Has Vandy ever been a viable candidate here? No. No way.
Diego Pavia, they're 5-0.
This is
incredible.
Top 20 matchup.
Yeah. Is Lane Kiffin the best coach in the SEC, considering who they are? I mean, Kirby only has one loss, but he lost, and he lost at home to Bama. And, of course, we threw Bama under the bus and the railroad tracks after one game, and they played well since. That's a big win for Kalen DeBoer. It is. I know they're Bama. They went on the road. They won. Georgia did what they had to do to go on the road and win against Tennessee. But when you look at Lane, they're 5-0, 3-0 in conference. They beat Kentucky, Arkansas, and now LSU. And now they get a week off. And then they get Washington State, who's, I think, the worst team in Power 4. And then they go to Georgia.
So they got a couple weeks off.
So they get a couple of weeks off before they go to Georgia.
If they win that ball game, they're the best team in the SEC.
Oh, if they go to Georgia and win, that'll make them 4 and
oh my god,
that'll make them 4-0 in conference. But they've got 3 more because they landed the way that they grabbed a COVID home game.
Sure,
they have 8 home games. Most teams have 7. You play 4 non-conference, and 4 conference games at home and 3 non-conference. Okay, so Ole Miss has 8 home games this year. The only road games they have left are at Georgia, at Oklahoma, at Mississippi State.
South Carolina.
At home.
At home. Oh, sorry, road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a tough 2 stretch though.
South Carolina and Florida.
Home.
At home.
Sorry. Yeah. Ooh.
So I'm asking for your SEC power rankings.
Wait, is Oklahoma out of here because of no John Mateer?
You know,
It's
they're talking about him coming back.
That's what I saw. But I saw somebody else. I saw other reputable people saying no.
Yeah, look, they've got Kent State this weekend, so it
they
doesn't
don't need
matter.
it, right?
And then we'll see if they can get him back by the time they play Texas.
Red River.
River rivalry.
They think he's going to be back.
Well,
there's no way that kid doesn't play.
And then when do they play Ole Miss? Oh, then they play at South Carolina. Then they play Ole Miss. He'll be back by then. That's October 25th.
If he comes back against Texas and has a showing,
hey,
Heisman favorite, baby.
Here's the deal. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh,
So let me get back. Let me circle back to what happened this past weekend. Lane with a big win over LSU, and LSU's Ole Miss did a great job. LSU can't run the football. I don't know what they were trying to do, running the football in a 2-point conversion, scoring late in the game, knowing that they couldn't run the whole game. So now that we're down in a primitive area, no real estate, everybody's man on man, we're on the 3-yard line. Getting 3 yards is extremely difficult running the football down when you're in that space, limited real estate, as Saban says on game day, and you run the football. That's odd to me. Yeah. So I don't know what Sloan, their offensive coordinator, and Brian Kelly are doing. I don't blame Baker because LSU's defensive unit was on the field all day. In fact, Ole Miss should have scored another 14 points on the offensive side of the football, but they had a red zone turnover, as you know, and just kind of moved it up and down the field on LSU and gobbled up 500 yards of total offense where LSU could not do anything.
I mean, coming out of that, where do we sit on Trinidad Chambliss?
Well, he's a hell of a football player with either the number one offensive coordinator in Lane Kiffin in the country,
right?
Or Lane's just got – if he's not number one, he's not number 2 or 3. He's tied with whoever you like.
That's correct.
But he's moving it even more.
He's doing it.
I mean, Heupel, I just saw that on Saturday night in Starkville, about to get to that.
Lane over Heupel, obviously.
Sark's. They're regressing the last 3 years on the offensive side of the football between Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. I think it's something to watch the next couple of weeks. If John Mateer is healthy in 2 weeks, what does that mean for the Texas Longhorns in that battle at the fairgrounds during the fair in the Dallas area between Texas and Oklahoma? But first things first, don't forget that Texas has to play at Florida and then come back and play Oklahoma, as we know, on a neutral site. So back to Lane. Who would you say is the best coach in the conference? Do you just default to Kirby because he's got 2 national championships from a few years ago? And lazy. I don't want to play those down.
They're different, though, now. That's lazy.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to flush them.
No.
I'm not going to say, well, that doesn't matter that you won just a few years ago because I can't do that.
No, NIL.
Okay. All right. So currently coaching.
Ooh.
Currently coaching in the Southeastern Conference. Who has national championships?
Okay. Very, very short list.
Well, it's Kirby.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Brian Kelly, Kalen DeBoer, Lane Kiffin, Josh Heupel, all successful. Sark have not won it.
Well, I guess only one other's played for it.
Brian Kelly played for it in 2012 and got smoked by Alabama 38-0.
Ugh.
Sark has
gotten
to the semis, but he didn't get to the championship. Kalen got to the championship at Washington and lost to Harbaugh in Michigan 2 years ago.
Yeah,
with Michael Penix.
Dang,
all right,
it is Kirby.
So Kirby's got 2.
Yeah,
but is Lane the best coach? And do they have the best OC-DC pairing in the SEC? I'd like to hear from you on the Golden Moon Casino text line 601-885-3776. I also want your power rankings. Do you have Georgia, Bama, or Ole Miss? as what?
I'm just thinking. I mean, Ole Miss had a great win. Sure,
A&M's got Notre Dame and Auburn under their
that's
belt.
what I'm trying
Are
to
those
say.
better wins than Ole Miss beating? I mean, look, Kentucky and Arkansas aren't good. LSU's going to win some games. They've got players. They're
about to lose.
atrocious on offense. Well, you and I just looked at their schedule. They are going to lose some games.
They're going to buy him out.
Okay, hold on. Let me get in the Mississippi State game, and then we'll get into Pittman and Brian Kelly and Mark Stoops. Yeah. All right. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Follow us, hang out with us on Twitter X at BoBounds. And let's get into, we talked a little bit of Ole Miss LSU. Heartbreaking, devastating loss for Mississippi State, but they played well. Yeah. You can't gift Tennessee and Heupel, who again, he may not quite be Kiffin, or he may be. They did go to the college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
But he's done an amazing job too at Tennessee. And we know about the Hendon Hooker year, but they followed up last year with a quarterback who couldn't throw a forward pass, and they still made the college football playoff. So before we automatically rank Kiffin ahead of Heupel, I do want you to think that Kiffin drew an unbelievable schedule last year too, couldn't do it with a first-round quarterback in Jackson Dart, who won his first start yesterday against the Los Angeles Chargers, and Heupel last year with Nico Iamaleava, they couldn't throw a forward pass, but they made the college football playoff. Now, the deal didn't go the way they wanted to when they traveled to Ohio State last year.
Yeah, but they were there.
So here's the deal. Saturday, I know Oxford and Vaught Hemingway was lit, electric, and Lane won another game and so on. Mississippi State is trying to get the momentum, show some progress, which they have. Unbelievable. Exponentially, as far as, that was the worst team of my lifetime. And by far and away the worst defense of my lifetime. And I've seen some bad football. I've seen some good football in Starkville, but some bad. But as you unpack the Mississippi State game, one, how in the hell did they run the football the way they did? Like they flipped. So, I mean, it was good to see, but they had been good in pass pro, or pretty, they had, because Blake had held onto the ball too long several times throughout the season. And then Fluff Bothwell has an unbelievable game, and they're just running down. In fact, as good as Levy's been this year, and he's been good, and it looks like he could be growing into this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. In the second quarter, and this is just goes through, you got to learn, and develop and experience. In the second quarter, when you are running it down their throat, and then you start throwing the football.
Why?
The one thing about this league, now the Mountain West, Big 12, Mountain West, Big 12, ACC is different. But the one thing about this league, when you are gashing someone and you are running the football down their throat, you continue to do it until they stop you.
Yeah.
All right. 2, you can't gift Tennessee 2 touchdowns. Blake, you had the pick 6. And then I'll give Levy unbelievable credit on the fake punt. My God, what a play call.
Yeah.
So not Mississippi State.
Right.
Which, this is a massive compliment for Jeff Levy.
Yes.
The fake punt play call was incredible and executed. And then the next play, you have a left tackle that's been substituted for.
Right.
And the new guy totally whiffs on the Tennessee defensive end and buries Blake Shapen. And in football, this usually doesn't happen. Literally, the ball just drops like you would drop an egg if you're making an egg this morning in your cast iron skillet, and you just dropped it right beside you. The ball drops as he gets crushed right by his foot.
Right.
Tennessee picks it up and scores. Most of the time, that damn oblong thing will move around and somebody just jumps on it, and you got a chance to play some defense.
Right.
Instead, scoop and score and stake through the heart, tough deal. Then the ebb and flow of the game, you pick yourself back up, you go back and get the lead, and then things play out in overtime. Can't give up that 25-yarder over the left tackle, can you, in OT?
No.
In play one? Can't do it. I know that's tough. They played their tail off. I thought Tennessee would dominate in the line of scrimmage. Cannot believe that Mississippi State was able to run the football with fluff. If you had a running quarterback, you win by 10.
Well, yeah.
I like Blake Shapen. He's an outstanding young man. We got to spend a lot of time with him last year. He's, you'd want your daughter to go on a date with him. But if you had a running 12 carries minus 21 yards. And I know a lot of those weren't carries. They were sacks like the one I just described.
Ouch.
But if you had I'm not talking about like Nick Fitzgerald or Jackson Dart level running.
Oh.
That's not what I mean. If you had someone who could run the football, you win by a touchdown to 10 points.
Good example.
Even with giving up the pick six
right,
and the fumble scoop and score and giving in regulation, Tennessee only scored 20 points, their offense. They scored 34 total, but only 20 points in regulation. If you had a running, to me, the only way to win in Starkville, and really I think this goes for the Blue Bloods too, but the only way to win in Starkville or Oxford or Columbia, both of them, or Auburn or College Station.
Sure.
And I think I can just go ahead and add the Blue Bloods of Baton Rouge, Tuscaloosa, and Athens. But yeah, because of the way the game has shifted and the talent's been spread thin. And just kind of what happened once Saban embraced it. Yeah. He went from a statue at quarterback.
Right.
To, no offense to my friend Jake Coker. Love him. But he went from, and Coker was super athletic. But my point is they went to Jalen Hurts, right? And Georgia hasn't quite gone there, although Stetson, we made fun of Stetson because he looked like the rush chairman in a fraternity in the SEC. He could boogie a little bit. Yeah. My thoughts here are that at Mississippi State and pretty much everywhere else, you got to have a dual threat quarterback.
So beckons the question.
So Shapen, should Camario Taylor play more? Should Croman Hawk, the transfer from Florida State, play more, who's got some skills too? Should that have been incorporated a little bit more over the first few weeks playing Southern Miss? Arizona State, you really wouldn't have had a chance just because that game was so damn tight. And then I don't remember who you played the third week, Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
And then now you just played who am I missing? Alcorn.
Alcorn.
Yeah, you had opportunities to get Camario and Croman Hawk more snaps against Southern Miss, Alcorn, and Northern Illinois. And also when you're 1st and 4 in overtime, that didn't look real good. But it happens. Short field. I'm thinking it's easy for me to say Camario or Croman Hawk so that the defense is like, all right, they could run the zone read with fluff,
right?
But I got to actually respect the quarterback on the zone read, whereas with Shapen, you don't.
I mean, but to be fair, they didn't have any time to do it against Northern Illinois. They didn't have time to get them in. They had to win the ball game in the second half.
Yeah, but they pulled away.
Yeah, they did. Okay, yeah. I mean, last
they won by 6 touchdowns.
They should have had them in,
or 5 touchdowns.
Like they should have had them in a lot of the Alcorn game, obviously. But I mean, but how much? I mean, how much is implemented there? Are we talking like a split, like a 70-30 split? Or are we talking like 80-20? Shapen takes 80% of the snaps.
80-20.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
All right,
but
nothing more, right?
In the other games, you had an opportunity to get some more snaps.
Yeah,
with Camario Taylor and Croman Hawk. So, all right, we're live in the Bank Plus studio. Let's reset here. The Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, and the Golden Moon Casino text line is 601-885-3776. Earl in Madison, who's an Ole Miss fan, has Alabama 1, A&M 2, Ole Miss 3, Georgia 4, Missouri 5. Missouri's 1-0. They're doing. Look at Drink and Kiffin's. Look at Drinkwitz and Kiffin, which, by the way, if LSU or Florida open up, you better hold on to your boxers. Look at Drink and Kiffin's record in one possession games. Filthy how good they've been. Drink and Kiffin. All right, so Earl goes Bama 1, A&M 2, Ole Miss 3, Georgia 4, Missouri 5.
Where's Vandy?
Texas 6 over Tennessee.
Look, come on.
Earl, I love you, but Texas isn't any good. In fact, that game's going to be in play for Mississippi State at home.
Yes.
I definitely Heupel and Tennessee are up there. I mean, Tennessee and Ole Miss on a neutral site, that game could go either way, Earl. And Missouri. And Tennessee's better than Texas. Vandy, then he has Vandy, then everybody else. Okay, that's fair enough.
That's not fair. Vandy should be higher.
Fair enough. We're going to find out about Vandy this weekend when they go to
right?
Tuscaloosa.
Ooh,
That's probably not fair for that to be the
why.
Well, maybe it should be.
You're winning ball games. You're hanging 50 on people. They're
55-35 over Utah State.
They're averaging like 45 points.
There were years where Vanderbilt didn't score 55 points the first 8 weeks of the season under Bobby Johnson.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay. I mean, I know James Franklin won there, but other than that,
that's the only place.
Ooh,
they can't win anywhere else.
Terry's on the Golden Moon Casino text line. Speaking of running QBs, he said Penn State and LSU have the same problem. Alar and Nussmeier are not run threats and can extend a play with their feet.
Okay.
Yeah. I need some more.
Oklahoma's not getting any love.
Resdog says, Ole Miss is undefeated against the worst teams in the SEC. What a joke of a schedule. Ole Miss should be 13th, only ahead of those garbage teams they've beaten.
Oh,
wow.
You can't do that.
They have beat two worst teams in the league,
sure,
in Kentucky and Arkansas, but they also have a win over LSU at home.
Right.
So
that's who was on their schedule.
Right.
They've done what they're supposed to do.
Drew in Atlanta says the 2-point conversion play that Brian Kelly and Sloan called against Ole Miss, that he's talking about LSU scoring late.
Right.
And then going for 2 where they ran the ball.
Yeah.
I can't. After not trying to run the ball all day, they thought, Let's try this.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
And let's see if we can trick them. We're going to run right over the guard's left butt cheek.
Like, dude.
And see if we can trick Pete Golding, who's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Drew in Atlanta says the 2-point conversion play call is worse than Les Miles' offensive BS.
Yeah.
Hey, I listened to Richard Dixon and some other dude post-game, LSU. They absolutely torched Brian Kelly and the offensive staff. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Tom Luganville at 9:30, National College Football Analyst, ESPN.
Stand by for audio. Got it.
It's 8 a.m., and you're tuned to Mississippi's #1 choice for non-stop sports. The Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
Where am I?
On the Zone, 105.9, and online at thezone1059.com.
Woo! Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Rolling on a meltdown Monday, not for Ole Miss. Somewhat for Mississippi State, although they went 4-1 and they played really well against Arizona State, who's got a good football team, and Tennessee, who's got a good football team. So you played a couple of people, a couple of teams that can get after it. We're 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're brought to you by Kessler Prime. Homemade hot tamales and a bone-in ribeye, KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. Show is also brought to you by Elijah Craig Bourbon, the official bourbon of the show. Official bourbon of the Ryder Cup. Not awesome the way we played on Friday and Saturday. I won't hit this long. We'll get right back into power rankings and coaching turnover, or the coaching carousel, which has already started. Y'all love a coaching search. I love a coaching search. So here we go. But the Ryder Cup was disappointing. I don't know what to tell you other than Europe loves it, and they love the format, and they embrace playing over here, and they have dominated for a while, and I was not happy, and my son Wilkes and I were going through it. And then yesterday, we played really well, but it was too late. In the singles matches, And I mean, credit to Scheffler and DeChambeau and several others who played well, but damn. And I feel for Keegan Bradley. He apologized in the post-match or whatever, Ryder Cup press conference.
Right.
But I thought JT said something, no, you can't make us make putts. I mean, we're the best in the world. And Justin Thomas played well yesterday too. And that was a sick eagle. But the point is, that hurt me. But I tell you what doesn't hurt me is a good Elijah Craig Old Fashioned.
That'll help.
And probably going to have one in Las Vegas next week.
There we go.
But you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know what. I know we're going to go somewhere good on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night. Some kind of steakhouse with an ice cold Elijah Craig Old Fashioned in a cool bar with a big steak in front of you and a ball game on with some good friends. That'll be fun. Vegas, baby. Vegas. I guess I should have had that pulled up, and I will here in just a second. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Sorry, Jackson. I went crazy for an hour there. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, man, we're good.
I've got a couple of things on my mind. Is Lane Kiffin the best coach in the SEC? Jeff Lebby may be going for most improved team, I guess, in the Southeastern
there ain't
Conference.
A question he is. Unbelievable.
What Lebby's done against Arizona State and Tennessee is insane. Congratulations to Bama for we had left them for dead after one game, like we do as fanatics and fandom. And they went over to Georgia and won a hella game as far as physicality and smash mouth football. I mentioned Lane's undefeated. Mississippi State's 4-1. Missouri looking good. A&M looking good. And Tennessee's a good football team. They're flawed like everybody else. But, and who else did I want to give props to? A&M won. Of course, Ole Miss won. Mississippi State and Tennessee, hell of a ball game. South Carolina bounced back, did what they need to do against the worst team in the league, Kentucky. And I tell you who else better watch out. Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, buddy.
Let me get into that. So let's get into that.
Jeez.
All right, we'll get back into power rankings in a minute. If I had to take a squad from now, from what I've watched, till the end of the year, I'd take Bama.
Yes.
I know y'all wanted to throw them away, burn them up, burn the car, the whole thing. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna take Bama. Ole Miss has a good team. Tennessee has a good team. Georgia has a good team. Mizzou, can't believe Drink's done what he's done. And then we'll kind of see what we have. As far as coaching changes, searches, and carousel. So Sam Pittman's out. And he did a solid plus job at Arkansas. He came in COVID year, like Lane and Leach, tough deal. They really haven't gotten their, together since Petrino went to the Sugar Bowl, and then a couple months later was rung up on the motorcycle, and they had to make a change. And we didn't know that Brett Bielema wanted to get away from Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin, who's definitely runs the mafia and somehow.
Right.
I'm talking about Alvarez. And takes the job, and then they fired him too soon, and then they made, some bad hires, so on. What is Arkansas going to do? Are they going to do Rhett Lashley at SMU, who's an Arkansas guy? Is Petrino going to be able to pull an upset or two? This is a brutal schedule, by the way. Mississippi State, Arkansas, a couple of Florida, just.
He's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah. Now, we'll see. Petrino, if he can't win a game or two, I don't know how they're going to justify hiring him. But Hunter Yurachek, the AD at Arkansas, already said he's going to be a candidate.
Vibe do you believe that?
Yes, I do.
I kind of do too. I mean,
but he's again. I'm looking at the schedule. You've got at Tennessee. Brutal.
Yeah.
A&M at home, brutal. Auburn at home, tough. Mississippi State at home.
That's
at LSU, at Texas, Missouri at home. I mean, obviously your best shot is Mississippi State at home, but then you don't have a good shot. I mean, that's as tough as Mississippi State's schedule is from here on out.
Yeah.
And it's number 1, 2, or 3 in the country. Arkansas's is right there.
No question.
So is it Rhett Lashley, Bobby Petrino, John Summerall, or maybe, some other G5 guys that are winning? UT San Antonio, Traylor, North Texas, Texas State, some other guys. Right. Now, is Kentucky going to make a move? Are they going to spend that much money to get rid of Mark Stoops? They're the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I mean, how long can you be that? Like how long?
Knowing that John Summerall is at Tulane and he's a Kentucky alum and he's winning, and knowing that he's not going to be out there long, and knowing that he would pick you over Arkansas.
Whoa.
I think because of the tie, Arkansas cares more about football, but Kentucky's they both have a ton of money. I got to think that through. But at Arkansas, even though they love basketball and baseball, they've still been more of a football school. At Kentucky, it will always be Rupp, Patino, and Cal. Y'all know that. All right, and Mashburn. So, connecting the dots here. Then you go down to Florida. Billy Napier, is he going to survive? What does that mean for Drink and Lane?
Right.
And is Brian Kelly going to survive?
And what does that mean for Drink and Lane?
Right. So Drink and Lane are the hottest guys not at a blue blood.
Right.
All they're doing is winning, and all they're doing is winning one-possession games, which shows you how good a coach you are. Now, look, Lane came up short last year in one-possession games, Kentucky, LSU, Florida. Sure. This year, Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU, win. All one possession. Kentucky may not have been one possession, but Arkansas and LSU was one possession. I can't remember what Kentucky was.
They backdoored it into one, if anything.
Okay, that's right. They kicked a field goal late. You're exactly right. To try to get an onside kick with 3 seconds left or something. So two one-possession games. Lane is 2-0.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And Drink is a little madman. Drinkwitz. What a nerd, but what a football coach. Damn nation. Steve Robertson coming up next. Hail State Insider. Lebby and the Dogs. Tough loss, but played really, really well. Are you convinced they've turned the corner in Starkville? Steve Robertson next. Oh, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. You can watch the show on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Our guests join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. We welcome in Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports, and the Boneyard Podcast. This is 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Devastating loss for Mississippi State on Saturday night, but they played some really good football, and they've showed some much-needed improvement. Steve, where do you want to start as far as your takeaway from the game? Was it Mississippi State's ability to run the ball down Tennessee's throat?
Yeah, that was a great development. We talked last week. I was expecting to have more of a passing attack in some respects, but we knew that Tennessee defensive front. We knew they could get after the quarterback. They had 15 sacks coming into the game. They ended up getting 5 more against Mississippi State. But State's ability to run the football and take advantage of some lighter box was certainly an encouragement, because you're not going to see a lot of fronts as talented as that one. You're going to see some that are similar, but that's a really good Tennessee front. And I think, considering that State had to play some musical chairs at times on the offensive line, it shows that they're making some progress.
All right. Do we want to continue to go through the good?
Always.
Okay. All right. So, because I could have not gone negative, but started to say what didn't happen. As far as holding up in the line of scrimmage, even though Tennessee was better, I thought Mississippi State held their own. How surprised were you that they did so on both sides of the ball, Steve?
Yeah. Still, there's a talent deficiency there, right? And Tennessee's a very talented team. They went to the playoff last year. They returned a lot of pieces from that team. But I think it goes to show you what Jeff Lebby and their staff has done to upgrade the talent level to make those games more competitive. And that's a game that Mississippi State fans feel like they should have won. I kind of wrote about that last year. I mean, we make that trip to Knoxville, just kind of hoping lightning strikes, right? I mean, we didn't expect to win that game. That was kind of how things worked after Blake Shapen got injured. I mean, we just said, this is going to be a season we have to endure. But I think you walk away from this one feeling like, we're going to win some more games this year, because the quality of this program and the quality of this team has been enhanced.
Steve Robertson on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. All right. They gifted the 2 touchdowns, as you know, and you can't do that to a team like Tennessee. Blake has played well, but also struggled some. I feel like he's holding on to the ball a little too long at times. What do you see?
No, I think that's fair. And, the scoop and score, I mean, that one's not on Blake. There's some other ones that he'll tell you were on him, but that one was just a complete ambush. I mean, Jimothy Lewis gets beat on the left side, and Blake gets hit from the blind side. And I'll be honest with you, when he first went down, I thought he was out. I mean, it was a big, big hit. And, of course, that ultimately proves to be the difference in the ball game. I mean, when you gift somebody 2 touchdowns, it's difficult to win in this league, as Mississippi State illustrated. But there you were at the end of the game with the ball and a chance to win the game, much like you did against Arizona State, or at least put yourselves in position for a game-winning field goal. And I feel like that's the burr under the Bulldog saddle today, is like we overcame all these other issues and put ourselves in a position to have the ball last and win the game, and then just didn't execute. And I've seen a lot of people talking about, play calling. One thing I want to go back, and if you go back and look at that first down play, and State had some success with Fluff just kind of running the football right at Tennessee, it's a pretty heavy box. And so what you want to do is throw the football, right? And the play was there, Blake just missed. And that's the thing, people equate that to play calling, not even knowing what play was called, and understanding that Blake, as the quarterback, has license to go up there and change the play based on the look of the defense. And so, you probably should throw the football there because you've got a heavier box. Tennessee is well aware that Fluff Bothwell has had success, and we didn't execute the play. That's as simple as you can say. The play was there to be made, and State didn't make the play. And I'm not in any way trying to diminish the effort, but, you hired Jeff Lebby to go win games like this, when he nearly did.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Okay, what about injuries? Do you expect Brendan Thompson to play this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I was told yesterday that his situation wasn't severe. I mean, obviously it kept him out of the ball game, but yeah, they're expecting him to be back. It's just going to be how he responds to treatment. But not having him, I think, was significant late too. And to take nothing away from the other guys out there. I mean, Aiden Williams made some plays, and Jordan Mosley made some plays. And again, that goes back to the depth that you built in the portal. But Brendan Thompson, arguably the fastest guy in college football, you could have had an opportunity to go max protect and just take a shot down the field, just like you did against Arizona State, and perhaps he runs under it. So, yeah, not having him was not significant, but not having him was significant. But I do expect him to play this weekend against Texas A&M.
Okay. Albert Reese, what's the latest?
Yeah, I don't expect him to play this week, but I don't think it's going to be something that keeps him out for a long time. The first report I got yesterday was that, yeah, if things go well and he responds to treatment, he should be back this week. And then later in the afternoon, I was told, now he's going to be a surprise if he plays this week. Probably a good chance he doesn't even practice. And I don't know that State scored after he left the ball game, and that's especially your best run blocking lineman is Albert Reese, and so. That is a significant development, but I would be extremely surprised if he plays this week. But I know a lot of people out there are overly concerned about this one, as they should be. He's a great young man and a great player, but I don't think this turns into a lengthy situation.
All right, Isaac Smith.
Yeah, haven't heard a lot on him. He
came back.
I don't know if he did or not.
I thought he came back on that play where he was lined up in the slot. I may be wrong. Okay.
Tony Mitchell played a lot in his spot down the stretch, and I'm not exactly sure kind of what his situation is, but told yesterday we don't have any season-ending injuries or anything like that. Could he sit this week? I think that's possible, but I know these guys want to play, but
sure,
sometimes the medical staff's got to save people from themselves, and so it doesn't turn into a long-term situation. Sometimes you just got to rest, and unfortunately, that's the game of football. But, we just don't have a lot on Isaac. I don't expect Levy to say much today. Once we get into SEC play, he just kind of traditionally said, we'll just start, the availability report will be out on Wednesday. You can kind of find out then. But, I don't think you're going to hear any devastating news.
Okay. All right. So, in other words, you feel like if Isaac Smith doesn't play this weekend at A&M, then they have a week off, and then they go to Florida, I think. You believe that you believe that he will play at Florida.
I feel that way today, because we don't have a lot of information about it. But I think too, obviously, Isaac Smith is the best player you have probably on either side of the football.
No question.
Significant development. But Tony Mitchell has shown to be pretty capable too, and that's a guy that was All-American out of high school, went to Bama, and was a little bit banged up when he got here, so he was behind, but. He's running around, throwing himself around, making some plays out there. So, I don't think it's a scenario where it's a huge step down. I mean, there is obviously a step down. Isaac Smith's a special player, but Tony Mitchell is capable of, if the situation unrolls itself like we just talked about, where you go to A&M, have an open date, I think Tony Mitchell can get you through A&M.
Okay. And I think I've got 30 seconds, but I can't believe I'm saying this. I got to give a game ball to Coleman Hutzler.
It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's like this time last year. I mean, that guy's name was absolute mud, and you look up now and you got a defense making plays and keeping you in ball games, and creating turnovers. And State had struggled extensively last year, getting sacks and creating turnovers, and they're starting to do a little more of both.
genespage.com. Steve Robertson. Steve, we'll talk later in the week about A&M. Thank you, man. Dogs 12-point underdog against A&M. Tom Luganville at 9:30. All right, we're running back on Facebook, too. So we're live on Facebook, the Out of Bounds Show. And we're live on YouTube. Out of Bounds Sports is the channel. All right, so Facebook, the Out of Bounds Show. Facebook, the Out of Bounds Show. And YouTube, Out of Bounds Sports. Either way you want to connect, or we love you listening on 105.9 The Zone ESPN, or streaming the show audio-wise on thezone1059.com or the Out of Bounds radio app. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Congratulations to Ole Miss. They're 5-0, ranked 4th in the country. They get a week off. Then they get to play Washington State, who is arguably they lost by 1 million to a directional school in Texas a few weeks ago. And there was a debate on the theathletic.com as to who was the worst team, Washington State or Oregon State. And, well, you can flip a coin on that. But things look good, and they may even look better than last year as far as a path to the college football playoff with that schedule. They only have 3 more road games. Wow. At Georgia, at Oklahoma, at Mississippi State. You've already played 3 conference games. So you only have 5 more conference games. Like Texas hasn't played a conference game. And other teams like Mississippi State, Missouri, and A&M and so on have only played 1 conference game. Bama have only played 1. So you beat Kentucky, Arkansas, who just fired their coach. Kentucky's going to fire their coach. Yeah. And LSU, who may fire their coach. Actually, you may have kind of expedited that. Yep. And then you may have to fight. You and Missouri may have to fight LSU to keep your coach, because LSU's one of the top 3 jobs in the country to go with Georgia and Ohio State, because you don't have to compete with other schools in your state.
Yeah, then you got to fight Florida, too.
And we'll see what happens. You're right. You're exactly right. It's a big week this week as Florida hosts Texas. No question. Texas hasn't looked good. Florida hasn't looked good yet. They have good football players. And we'll see how. That's a good point, Jay Meadows. Texas at Florida, I can't wait to watch this weekend to see what Sark does and Arch, and to see what Napier and DJ Lagway do. Both teams coming off buys. As Bartu says, that dreaded September bye. And it will get you if you're not careful. And that's where we are. Texas at Florida. 2 massive brands. Texas has been winning under Sark. Yeah. Back-to-back college football playoffs. You could say that they missed opportunities to win it because we haven't had a dominant team in some time. And they allowed Michigan and Ohio State to get those, championships. But he has been to the college football playoff the last 2 years. However, they look like hot garbage.
They're terrible.
Well, let's not go.
No, they're bad. I'm so happy about it.
But some people are starting to talk about how Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator at Texas, is carrying this thing, and that Sark's offense continues to regress, which is weird because he's a top 5, top 10 offensive coordinator, but they haven't quite gotten their act together the last 2 years. They've totally leaned on their defense, and then this year they've looked like hammered, you know what?
They're
hammered dog poo-poo on offense. So that is something to keep an eye on this weekend.
When do we stop giving them grace?
Then the Arkansas job is open. Bobby Petrino is the head coach at Arkansas. Did you ever think you would say that again at lunch or late in the afternoon as you walk down to your buddy's house to open an ice cold Michelob Ultra and kind of BS about the weekend and start looking towards the next one? Did you ever think that you would say, Bobby Petrino is the head football coach for the Arkansas Razorbacks? I'm not sure we ever thought we'd say he was the offensive coordinator. But now that Sam Pittman has been fired, Bobby Petrino is now the head coach for the Hogs.
Well, yeah, I mean...
And Arkansas's got a week off. He's fired everybody pretty much on the defensive side of the football, as you saw this morning. He let go of the DC and other defensive assistants. So he's trying to make some moves in this off week and see, I guess, what they can put together before they play at Tennessee.
Yeah. Hey, you're talking about the 34-20, Bobby P, in the SEC.
So he was 34-20 at Arkansas before getting fired? Yeah, and he had just been to a Sugar Bowl.
Cotton and Suge.
And they had lost, I think Ohio State was his last game. Ryan Mallett threw it right to a defensive end. Crazy play. And Arkansas should have won the game, and
they won.
Ohio State picked it off.
You're talking about the Suge.
Okay.
That was 10 and 11. He was the coach. They were 11-2 and won the Cotton Bowl that year.
Oh, who'd they play?
Oh, let me find that out.
Okay.
They played. No. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Kansas State had a tremendous team that year.
Really?
Yeah. Snyder was still there.
So I guess that was
12.
either when Snyder, right before he stepped down, or right when he came back, maybe. I can't remember that timeline. But okay. All right. So they beat Bill Snyder in the Cotton Bowl. That was his last game.
Yeah,
Is that correct? Or did he come back for one more?
I believe that. No. Petrino, that was it.
Okay. I remember Dan playing him in 2010. No? 2010 in Starkville. Maybe overtime game. Vic Ballard fumbled into the. Vic Ballard's a hell of a player for Mississippi State. Ended up making it with the Indianapolis Colts. And if he doesn't get hurt, I think he stays around for 5 to 7 years. He fumbled the ball into the end zone, and Arkansas won. Yeah.
He did have a little stretch in the pros where he was doing real well.
He went like back-to-back lower extremity.
Yeah.
Do I sound like an orthopedic surgeon?
I mean,
or a physical therapist?
If it's on your LinkedIn.
I got to put that on there today.
There you
Okay. I'm going to say I used lower extremity in my sports talk radio show, and it is official. I'm a physical therapist.
Qualified.
Or an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah, that's it.
Qualified. I'm on like 6.0 chat. So I
know. I mean, hey.
Probably can do 4 or 5 searches and be good to go.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what it's there for.
All right. And I just talked about injuries with Steve Robertson. What else do people want? I mean,
what else can you do?
Right? Orthopedic injuries. Boom.
Just another thing we handle here.
Okay. All right. Do you have the Lebby audio? Let's get that rolling. And then I want to drop the LSU postgame audio, which is really funny. Ole Miss is still on a heater. All Lane does is win. Their best win of the year is LSU. Their second best win is Arkansas, who just fired their coach. And their third best win is Kentucky. Or maybe some of you would argue Tulane. I don't know. Mississippi State's best win is Arizona State. And then tough loss to Tennessee, but good Lord, they played well. And according to my text line, people have bought in. There wasn't buy-in. And now people have bought into Lebby. And to a certain extent, I guess Colvin Hutzler and Mike McIntyre and Paul Rhodes, because they only allowed 20 points in regulation against Tennessee, because 2 of the touchdowns were a pick six and a scoop and score for the Tennessee Volunteers. This is Jeff Lebby after the ballgame.
Yeah, crushed, disappointed. Everybody inside our walls and the entire week knew that we were going to have the opportunity to go win this game. And we weren't able to make the plays. They did make the plays to win it, and that is this league. And I think our guys understand that. The message is, man, hold on to the hurt and understand, like, these moments, this is what we're fighting to stay away from. And every single day, every single week, having the opportunity to just get a little bit better so that next Saturday when we go on the road and play at night in Kyle Field, man, it's the best we've been all year long.
That was Jeff Lebby after the game. And they played well, but it was a devastating loss because you had an opportunity, 1:55 left, to go down and end it, so to speak, right? And actually thought Lebby and Heupel I thought Lebby should have run the football. 1:55 is plenty of time, and you threw it 3 straight times. And Fluff had been gashing the Tennessee D. And I understand they were giving you a look that, hey, you're not going to throw behind us. But 1:55 in today's game is an eternity, and you had 3 timeouts. But he made a lot of great decisions throughout the day. But it's easy for me to say, but I'd have run the football because Fluff is your best player at that time, right? And he may even be with this guy that I'm about to mention, but Fluff is your best player on offense. along with Brennan Thompson, but Brennan was out of the game. I'll never forget 4 months ago. Now, you got Fluff. You beat out Ole Miss. I mean, Lane has been, he's lost some to Tennessee and LSU and so on in the portal. But Ole Miss wanted Fluff. Okay, and so did some other SEC teams. And Votler and Levy got in there and got him from South Alabama early. He's kind of the first workhorse you've had in a while. I mean, Marks and Dillon were good, and congratulations to Woody Marks scoring 2 touchdowns for the Houston Texans yesterday. Love seeing that kid play well, who played several years under Leach and caught a million balls out of the backfield. But at that time, Fluff's the best player you have on offense, and you want to run the ball a minute 55 with 3 timeouts. Now, I'll say this. After you punted it back, and that was an blank moment, for Heupel to be a much more veteran-laden coach, because he's been a head coach longer, not a shot against Levy. For Heupel to have been a head coach for a long time, a pretty long time at UCF and now Tennessee, I thought he totally botched the clock when they got it back. And I couldn't really get a read on that. And that surprised me, because Heupel is a top 10, possibly top 5. If Kiffin's top 5, why isn't Heupel top 5?
Easy.
So I think Heupel's top 5 in that area, head coach in college football today. And he did go to the college football playoff.
He did.
Last year with a quarterback who couldn't throw the football.
I agree.
Damn, you've gotten better. I mean, I know you had nowhere to go but up.
So much better.
But Votler and Levy and Charlie and others did a really good job in going and getting as much
right talent.
Let me say this. I said this during the summer, and boy, I got some pushback from the rival. And for whatever reason, Mississippi State fans listen to Ole Miss fans when you shouldn't. That doesn't mean you're not friends. I mean, I'm friends with I love a bunch of people who went to Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
But you were told, and too many of you believed, you let them define you, which I don't understand. Now, a lot of people eye roll, pat them on the shoulder, head out. But you were told that you couldn't win in football. Nothing could be further from the truth this day and age. You've never had a better opportunity to win in college football than you do today. And you spent over $15 million, and you still missed on some players in the portal, like Ole Miss did, like Auburn did, like South Carolina did, okay? But you hit on some guys, okay? Like Fluff. I just referenced Fluff and Brennan Thompson from Oklahoma, and so on, and Jones from Georgia. And, Whitson, you hit on some guys. So the bottom line is, it's never been easier to win. You're in an unbelievable geographical location inside the Sun Belt, right nestled in between a 4-state area that's loaded with players. Sunshine State, SEC campus, town's booming. I said it. Steve Roberts, hell, some people on campus didn't like it, which made no sense for me, because I'm all about raising the bar and everything in life. We said all during the offseason, 4-0, non-negotiable. For some reason, that rubbed some people wrong. I wasn't going to waver.
Yeah.
Set your expectations high. Believe that when you walk on campus and in a stadium or arena, you're going to win.
Yes.
And have that mentality, period. Brian O'Connor has that mentality. Have you ever been around him? That guy, talking about super alpha, off the charts, intellectual, alpha dog, da-da-da-da. So we said 4-0 was non-negotiable, and people thought that we were taking shots at somebody. Why? While other people in the media were like, oh, God, well, maybe they can go 2-2. Well, that's nonsense. I knew that you had spent over $15 million, that Butler had done a hell of a job for months and months and months leading in to the portal last December. And give Jeff Levy credit. He told Mark Butler, you've got the portal. I want you working on it 18 hours a day. And that's what Butler and that group did within the division of the football program. Yeah. Remember, you hired Butler from Ohio State. They knew how to do it. Like Kiffin replacing Austin Thomas once he and Austin had the magic a couple of years ago. Kiffin hired Billy Glasscock from Texas, who was the number 2 in their portal empire. But I said it's never been easy. It's easy. It's not easy to win.
No.
It's never been a better time to win. Start saying it and start getting behind your program and giving money towards the Bulldog Initiative. But they landed on some players. You just play Tennessee and Arizona State, and they're good football teams. They're both going to win games. Tennessee, even with the loss to Georgia, may still find a path to the college football play. Remember they lost at Arkansas last year and we said they were cooked?
Yep.
What'd they do?
Found their way back.
They did. And they went to the college football playoff when some teams that thought that they were going to go did not.
With a quarterback who couldn't throw.
They didn't have a first, second, third, fourth, or fifth round QB. In fact, he wasn't top 10 in the SEC.
No.
You need to believe and demand to win. And you got to go get players. And that's what you did. And you need more. Look, I don't know what you're going to do from here on out because of your brutal schedule. At A&M, to me, this lines up as a bad deal this weekend.
Yeah.
Just because you're coming off a super physical game against Tennessee, left it all out on the field, overtime, and you may have some injuries. You're not built quite yet, like Ole Miss and Missouri. You will be. I mean, you have a chance to be. It's all right. You can have just as good a roster as Ole Miss and Missouri. Don't think that you can't. It's nonsense if anybody says otherwise.
Right.
Because you've now closed the gap to where, you may within maybe not a fingernail, but 2 fingernails of Ole Miss and Missouri. But you're really within a whisker of South Carolina, who's just a tick below. You see where I'm going?
Barely. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So I don't know what you're going to do on the way out. You do need to find a conference win, if not 2. I think there's going to be some in play. Texas at home, at Arkansas, Ole Miss at home. I don't know about Missouri. I'm just going to have to see. They're playing good football, and while they're far from special. They're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So
Drink is so good.
Can you play the LSU stuff? I want to switch gears on the Ole Miss thing. All right, we are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Superior Foundation. For all your foundation repairs, Superior. French drains, driveways, foundation. Superior. Real quick, one score records. Head coaches in the SEC. Number 1 is Smart, but they're a number 1, number 2 recruiter. They're 22-10.
Sure.
Still good. Number 2 is Eli Drinkowitz, 17-8.
Wow.
Number 3 is Lane Kiffin, 15-7.
Dang.
Is Lane or Drink the best best head coach in the SEC? This is. Oh, I gotta look this up because I sent it to you and I've got a reference at Jackson Meadows. Okay, this is Eagle 98.1 post game with Richard Dixon, and I can't remember the host's name, but Richard Dixon is from the Mississippi Gulf Coast and played for Miles on the national championship team. This is their post game after LSU dropped the game and was abysmal on offense to Ole Miss.
This was an excruciating game to watch today. And in my opinion, the worst coaching job of Brian Kelly's LSU tenure. Forget the final score. Ole Miss was in charge of this one from the third drive of the game all the way to the end. Lane Kiffin and his staff were 3 steps ahead of Brian Kelly and his staff from that point in the game forward. The mistakes were so numerous, it's going to take us a minute to get through them, and then we'll take your phone calls here. Kelly's first mistake was signing off on this offensive game plan, which was absolutely atrocious. And I'm not one of these guys that gets here. I've been doing this show for 25 years, okay? I don't like to get in here and yell and scream and hop up and down about play calling or game plans usually because a lot of times there's circumstances around it and it comes down to execution. But I thought this game plan was absolutely terrible against a team that was surrendering 190 yards a game on the ground, a team that gave up 172 yards to Kentucky, a team that gave up 178 yards to Tulane and 191 to Georgia State. That's rushing yards. LSU showed little interest in running the football. In the first half, the Tigers only ran it 9 times for an anemic 24 yards. That's a ridiculous number, even with Caden Durham sidelined. LSU's play calling for most of the game centered on only 2 things: quick spot passes to the outside and deep balls against a secondary that was playing with their heels in the city limits of Memphis. Even with superior numbers up front, LSU couldn't run the football, nor could they protect the quarterback. The offensive line played with no heart, no fire, no execution, and no focus today. That's 2 years in a row that they have drastically underachieved, and it's time to start asking questions about Brad Davis. You can really say 3 years, but Jaden Daniels bailed him out in 2023. Joe Sloan looked lost for most of the day. It was bad call after bad call, throwing bombs against a secondary that was playing so far back with so many people that they were daring you to run the football, and they just wouldn't do it. And just when you thought that he couldn't make any worse calls than the ones he did, one of the last plays he called, the 2-point conversion handoff, which was, in a day full of bad calls, Rich, the worst call he made all day, and that's saying something.
It was garbage. I mean, this is a very frustrating game for me, and, like, we've been trying to – we said Nussmeier was hurt, and that enabled some things, and I'm calling BS on the whole deal. Like, he might have been hurt, but that's not the issue. The offensive line can't push paper. They can't move anybody. It's frustrating to me because the play calling was bad, execution was terrible, but decision-making was bad. And Nussmeier played his worst game I've ever seen him play tonight.
The senior quarterback made mistakes that belie his experience. That first half interception on first down in Ole Miss territory was a throw that a high school quarterback would know not to make, and it has absolutely nothing to do with his injury or lack thereof. Sloan and Nussmeier rarely tried the middle of the field, and with no running game and the offensive yards per attempt was 5.8, it was because of the play calling, the quick outside passes, which they had a little bit of success with, or the incomplete bombs. It seemed like there was nothing in between. Whether Nussmeier is still feeling the effects of that torso injury is debatable, but the decision-making has nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
There were a couple of bad throws. He underthrew another ball today.
There's more than a couple.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, but on just an underthrow. Yeah. He underthrew Hilton. Okay, so if you're hurting, maybe you throw that. That's got nothing to do with the decisions that you.
All right, so that was LSU postgame. 98-1 with Richard Dixon, who played it. LSU under Les Miles, and he's from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Holy smokes, they didn't hold back on Brian Kelly and Sloan, the offensive coordinator down in Baton Rouge. I got to hit some of these texts on whether or not Lane Kiffin is the best coach in the SEC. Levy has the most improved team in the Southeastern Conference. And who is your number one team after watching September football in the Southeastern Conference?
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m. and this ain't no K show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
All aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by Fowler GMC. And if you're in the market for a truck or SUV, GMC Sierra truck, GMC Yukon, pre-owned or new. Why don't you hit the website right now, fowlergmc.com, FOWLER. Pearl Brandon, locally owned for 6-7 decades. Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon, fowlergmc.com, fowlergmc.com. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. A couple of different ways that you can get in touch with the show. The Golden Moon Casino text line is 601-885-3776. Twitter X at Bo Bounds. And the Michelob Ultra caller line is 601-707-3750. 601-707-3750. And I'm going to Las Vegas next week.
We're going to give Daddy the Rain Man suite. Do you dig that? We're going to Vegas, Mike.
Vegas! You think we get there by midnight?
Money, we're going to be up 500 by midnight.
Vegas!
Vegas, baby! Vegas!
Probably going to have to win a couple $100,000 while I'm out there, right? What did you say? Put it on black?
Yep.
And just turn around and take a sip of a Tito's and club soda and orange?
Right when you walk in, put it on black. You'll know if you're going to have a good night or not. If you lose it, hey, do what you do. If you win, house money.
House money. Did you bet any this weekend?
Oh yeah, we were. We rode a little bit yesterday.
Okay.
And maybe and some it's my time for baseball.
Oh, baseball.
Because the regular season.
I keep forgetting that baseball is still. So are we going into postseason?
We're going into the postseason.
Okay.
Jake Mangum has finished his first year of Major League Baseball.
Well, I'm happy for everything that he accomplished.
Absolutely. I mean, look, he batted .296.
Good grief,
So
that's insane.
Yeah, you do with that as you please. But he batted .296 in his first year in the
I think
majors.
he made like $700,000. I mean, I shouldn't say that on the air. I'm just happy for him. I mean, I think the rookie, I think it was $44,000 a day in rookies in MLB, 45. I don't remember.
Well,
something crazy.
He also is the Rays Rookie of the Year.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
As you should be.
The hit king, Jake Mangum, with his first season in the books for the Tampa Bay Rays. All right.
Heck of a year.
So we'll get into maybe a little postseason baseball later. Not this show,
Right.
but at some point, just depending. And maybe through Underdog we will, but we'll probably hit Monday Night Football tonight.
Yep.
My takeaway on the weekend is Lane Kiffin worked Brian Kelly. Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding worked Brian Kelly. Blake Baker, I thought, did a good job for LSU, considering their defense was on the field all day long. LSU really enjoyed going 3 and out. They have no run game. That's hard to do at LSU. And they can't figure out what they want to do with Nussmeier and the receivers. Ole Miss played really well. Golding had a hell of a game plan. And, Baker, Ole Miss could have easily scored another 2 touchdowns. And Baker and the defense, at least, even though they gave up a ton of yards, they gave LSU an opportunity. But you never felt, after the first score, you never felt like LSU was in the catbird seat or had the momentum.
No.
Once the game flipped, and then Ole Miss just they had the game control the rest of the time. Okay? And so a credit to Kiffin and Golding. Kiffin is one of the most fascinating stories in college football, in that he was a spoiled brat in the industry, and he was given everything way too early. And Monty Kiffin's his dad, unbelievable defensive coordinator in the NFL. And Kiffin gets on the Pete Carroll staff. It's kind of like telling me that you're on the Saban staff in 2010. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And he and Sark were there, and they were celebrated and given too much too early and so on. And Lane takes the Raiders job, and I don't blame Lane for that because he didn't hire himself. Al Davis hired him. It didn't work. A year and a half later, it didn't work out. But then Lane gets the Tennessee job, has a solid year going 7-6, and Southern Cal opens up, and he gets the job, and they're on probation from the Reggie Bush and some other stuff.
Trash.
But he goes out there and actually goes 10-2 one year in his probation-laden years. They weren't allowed to play in the Pac-12 title game, I guess, and then anything else postseason.
It would have been. I mean, I think they were in line to go to the Rose Bowl that year.
Okay, there you go. And then they lose a little bit. Things are kind of wobbly, and Lane's fired on the tarmac, as y'all know, coming back from a road game from Arizona State or Arizona. And Pat Hayden, who was a terrible athletic director for Southern Cal, fires Lane, and y'all know the drill. And Lane's embarrassed and devastated, and that was his dream job, and he's acknowledged, and there's that documentary, whatever the hell's out now, and his quotes in there about how embarrassed and low and everything else he was, and then his marriage was going to hell. He's fired from his dream job, and then he has to go to rehab with Saban and work under a military general, which I think, that was an oil and water. But it was good for both of them.
Yes.
Lane was a wild man in Tuscaloosa. Lane taught Saban that, hey, you got to open this thing up. And, you're not just going to be able to run the Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry offense, and give him credit. And he goes and lands Jalen Hurts and makes what was the kid's name? Blake? That was the quarterback
Sims.
that ran. Yeah, thank you. Viable.
He was straight.
Lane's a little wizard, okay? Then he goes, y'all know the drill. He goes to Florida Atlantic, he wins, and now he's on the most unbelievable run in the history of Ole Miss football.
Yeah. Absolute tear.
And now he gets this kid that not even Ole Miss fans were talking about it, because all we heard about was Austin Simmons, NFL player, da-da-da.
Rightfully so.
Trinidad Chambliss. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, yeah.
Nobody, he may end up in the NFL, but
right. Well,
nobody
not the NFL part, but being excited
players
about him
without having any pedigree or resume.
That's a good point.
But Trinidad Chambliss. Maybe the pickup of the year in the portal.
Is.
Because Ole Miss is 5-0. Now, you could argue they should be 5-0, but they are 5-0. And this guy's played really well, and Lane's unbelievable. And they had people running wide open against it doesn't matter. Lane schemes it up, and they had people running wide open. And I know that happens, not a high school, some in college, not much in the NFL, unless you're the Cowboys, or the Jets. But damn nations, people were running wide open. Now we've had a couple of people on the text line say Mississippi State would be 5-0 with that Ole Miss schedule. I agree. Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU, they'd be 5-0. They're 4-1. Lost to a Tennessee team that made the play at the end. The runoff tackle in overtime. And then Mississippi State gets down inside the 5 and just kind of got sped up. A little bit. It happens, especially with new people. And wasn't an awesome drive. Now, the throw, if the throw had led the guy down the sideline, you score instead of being at the 4-yard line. But what a ball game. And Jeff Levy has the most improved team in the Southeastern Conference. Tom Luganville at 9:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Here we go. Football season is in full swing. And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Bengals and Broncos, and I'm selecting Bo Nix for higher than 18 fantasy points. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code OUTOFBOUNDS to score $100 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code OUTOFBOUNDS on Underdog app. All right. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Woo. People don't think that Mississippi State could beat LSU at home. Yeah, they could. I mean, they may lose the game, but they absolutely could beat LSU at home. So, and it's just a different day. I mean, they went in and spent a lot of money and got players, and they're going to continue to do so, and that's a good thing. So, my SEC power rankings are Bama number 1, Georgia number 2, Ole Miss number 3. Along with, look, I can put Ole Miss and Missouri right there. Yeah. Okay. And Tennessee, right? I mean, if they all played on a neutral field several times, who knows? Lots of back and forth, right? If they all met in Nashville for the next 4 to 5 weeks and rotated through Ole Miss, Tennessee, Mizzou, maybe A&M.
Yeah. Ain't you sleeping on them?
Oklahoma. Am I sleeping on Oklahoma because John Mateer? I mean, they've done what they're supposed to do. Yeah. They beat Michigan and Auburn. Mm-hmm. You could argue those are better wins than what Ole Miss has and Missouri has, okay? So they beat Michigan and Auburn. Auburn's not bad. They just played 2 games. Here's what's funny. Today, Auburn wants to burn down their football program.
Absolutely.
And Hugh Freeze. Yeah. Yet DJ Durkin and Auburn went to Oklahoma, and come on.
Man.
It's not like that game couldn't have gone a different way, and we know about the substitution deception play.
Right.
2, that game against A&M, you may have thought, this is boring. Well, it's smash mouth SEC football, baby.
Yep. Between
2 teams that have some players. They have some dudes and line of scrimmage and so on. 16-10. Okay. And I get that Jackson Arnold is not what maybe Freeze and they thought he would be, although there was some signs. But, dude, that Auburn defense is nasty. And they are about to go on. Now, I know he's got to win games or he's going to get fired.
That's right.
Right? Because they're crazy. They're the craziest fan base in the league because they're in a state with Bama, and they've had a tremendous amount of success, yet they haven't had Bama's success. I mean, Mississippi State and Ole Miss and South Carolina and Missouri and A&M. Hell, Texas, but several others would take Auburn's success of playing in 2 national championship games, winning 1, having an undefeated season under Bowden, an undefeated season under Tuberville, and an undefeated season under Gene Chizik. I mean, that's not anything to sneeze at just because Saban's shadow is so large and all-consuming. All right? But they're not a bad football team.
Far from it.
Now, I don't know what Hugh is doing on offense. Hugh Freeze walked into Ole Miss and started the car and put it into 5th gear. And Hugh Freeze and Bo Wallace were moving the ball and scoring. I know it was a different era and scoring points. And then Hugh Freeze and Chad Kelly. Yeah. And then Hugh Freeze and somewhat, was it Shea and Tamu at the end? Whatever. And then he goes to Liberty, and Malik Willis and the other dude, they move the football.
Yeah.
And say what you want, but because of Freeze, the deal, Malik Willis gets drafted.
Yeah.
And then he stays with Peyton Thorne
way
too long, transfer from Michigan State, and now, Jackson Arnold,
Very meh. They're crazy enough, though.
Well, you need to keep an eye on these programs. Arkansas has already fired their coach, Sam Pittman.
Okay.
They're going to hire Rhett Lashley or Bobby Petrino or John Summerall or
run it back.
Any number of guys. I don't know if Jeff Traylor's going to get a job, but he's done a good job too. And there's some other dudes. And you may want to look at the ACC as far as some guys in Big 12. Like Kenny Dillingham. Does he look at it and go, all right, we're going to be limited financially?
Sure.
If I go somewhere else, they're going to give me several million more dollars for portal. But now when you get in this league, it's a bunch of killer sharks and assassins. But do you look at the Big 12 and the ACC and some guys who think they're not going to give me the resources, but then the path of least resistance? How do you weigh that? I want you to keep. Arkansas has already made a move.
Right.
LSU could make a move. Kentucky could make a move. And I know you go, well, who cares? But you don't ever know if they land John Summerall, their Kentucky alum down at Tulane. Auburn could make a move. Florida could make a move.
Okay. The ripple effect.
Which means if you're Ole Miss and Missouri, if the big team, they're not going anywhere except top 10 jobs.
Which would be?
LSU is one of the top 3 jobs in the country with Georgia and Ohio State. And Florida
top 10
is top 10. And I can't put my finger on the water and the brand. They're a monster brand who have all the money in the world, and they've proven that they can win titles.
Yeah.
With more than one coach.
What? Yeah.
Spurrier won one, and Urban won 2.
Yeah.
They're also good enough to where, like, Will Muschamp can take you to a New Year's Day bowl.
Yeah.
I think McElwain may have gone to 1, had 1 good year. And then Dan, I think, went to 3. But Dan's a good coach.
And then got ran. That's awesome.
And so Florida, Drinkowitz, Lane.
Stop it there. Dabo.
I'm not sure.
Is there a scenario in which Dabo could end up in the SEC next year?
It would have to be LSU or Florida. But if you're LSU, I think you won't Drink or Kiffin over Dabo.
Why?
Because of what they've been able to do post-portal. The transition that they made. And Clemson and Dabo didn't pivot.
So if Dabo,
those two guys, Drink and Kiffin,
they were
embraced the portal.
So if Dabo said, all right, look, here we go. It's a new beginning. I'm here. New approach. I'm embracing the portal. Does that give him the nod?
Dabo?
Yeah. I mean, if he fully embraces portal.
Because today Kiffin's a better head coach than Dabo. Today. Not overall. I know the 4 national championship appearances and the 2 that he's won. Today,
September
Kiffin
29th.
is better.
Okay.
And Drink.
I'm good with that.
Today.
I agree.
The last 24 months. Not if you take their 10-year body of work.
Right.
Hopefully sports fans can understand where I'm going there. I don't think that's hard to comprehend.
Shouldn't be.
They're better today. Drink and Kiffin are top 5 or top 10 coaches in the country.
Yeah. Man, so if we were going to put a number on it, at the possibility of new head coaches or new people sitting in the head coaching seat for next year, what are we looking at here? 4.5 is the over-under? 3.5?
I think that's a great question that you just asked. Handicapping this bad boy.
Because you got
with LSU and Florida.
It's the ripple effect you got to take into account.
No doubt.
Because that could go.
Because LSU's not going to screw around. And Florida's not going to screw around.
No.
They've been messing around here for a while. Too much pressure, too much money on the line to win big and try to go to the college football playoff. And they've both proven they can win national championships, and they have more money than God.
Yep.
LSU's top 3 program. Florida's top 5, top 7. Tom Luganville coming up next. All right, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brought to you by Cover Source Solutions, locally owned, Mississippi grown. HVAC and plumbing, CoverSourceSolutions.com. 2 locations, one in Brandon, one in Ridgeland. Cover Source Solutions, HVAC and plumbing. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Tom Luganbill, national college football analyst with ESPN. I like to do this too. He won a national championship as a JUCO quarterback and started at QB at Eastern Kentucky and Georgia Tech. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Tom Luganbill, before I get into all the fun from Week 5, how cool was it to see your son be able to play college football at Eastern Kentucky, considering your schedule?
It was one of the best moments of my professional life, given that our lives in this place, in this world of college football, are always based on the weekends, right? So you get so few opportunities to actually go to a game and do something without being, in a studio, on location, all of those sorts of things that when you get to see your son play, and I haven't had a chance to do that, it was just remarkably special.
That's awesome. And it sounds like your dogs were fired up that you got to see your son play too.
My dogs are very excited about it and are causing all kinds of havoc for me this morning on my radio hits, and they see anybody that goes outside and they lose their mind.
All right. Let's go with losing their mind. Ole Miss is on the greatest run in the history of their program with Lane Kiffin, if you look at the last few years. And they did what they need to do against LSU on Saturday. They absolutely shut down LSU for the most part. LSU cannot run the football, and all Lane does is move the football with whoever is at quarterback. How impressed are you with Lane Kiffin at OC and Pete Golding at DC and what they were able to do to LSU on Saturday, Luke?
Well, I think you got to start off giving Lane Kiffin and that coaching staff a tremendous amount of credit when it comes to evaluating the portal. There are, 3,000 kids in the portal at any given time. And so a kid comes across the portal and he's played at Ferris State. 99% of the programs are just going to swipe left and move on to something else. They're not even going to look at him. And for them to dive deep and to really examine the production level and what the kid did and what he accomplished, and then making the assessment, all right, could he make the jump from Division II to the FBS level? Could he legitimately be our number 2? You got to give that staff a ton of credit. And then you then have to give the kid a ton of credit, because that guy's got ice water in his veins. And no moment is too big. And hey, listen, again, it goes to the fact that he's played. He's older. He's seen a lot of things. He's not a wide-eyed rookie. That counts for something. I don't care what level you're playing at.
I agree.
And so when I watch, and he brings something that Austin Simmons doesn't bring, and this is not a knock on Austin Simmons,
sure,
but he can get out of trouble. He can avoid negative plays. He forces the defense to account for his feet and for his legs, and that puts strain on people. And when you watch that game unfold, I think that 11-play drive late that really cemented the game for Ole Miss, and you look at how he handled that moment, a 4th down conversion. I was incredibly impressed with the poise of the entire football team.
There's a few of them out there, Lane and Heupel and a few more. But you have to have the elite group, and Lane's in it as a play caller. Why, year in, year out, regardless of what they're doing and who they're playing in personnel, how does Lane draw up plays where guys are running wide open down the field, Tom Luganbill, as an ex-quarterback?
Well, I think first and foremost, it starts with game planning. You sit there and you look at how they're going to play situations, how they're going to play certain personnel groups, how they're going to play certain down and distance, where are they aligning their players, and then trying to go to the drawing board and say, okay, to attack this, we got to do this, and to attack that, we've got to do that. And he does a remarkable job of not only going in with a really good plan, but maybe most importantly, adjusting within the game between him and Charlie Weiss Jr. And because remember, you've got the head coach on the sideline, but the coordinator has the bird's eye view. And that changes everything, because what you can't see from the sideline angle when you are flat-footed and you're looking at it from a linear perspective is it's very difficult to see how teams are aligning in terms of leverage. Are they inside alignment? Are they outside alignment? Where are the weaknesses? Well, Charlie Weiss Jr. can see that from up. Is critical when it comes to the next play or the next series of the plays, the next series in and of itself. I think that's important. I also believe, though, that, and you can go all the way back to Blake Sims, I would probably use as a good example of Alabama.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you look at the personnel, and you can say all you want about the scheme, you can say all you want about the approach. But if you really want to give Lane Kiffin credit, he knows how to maximize the personnel he has. He does a really good job of saying, okay, we need to accentuate this with this guy. We need to try to mask this with this guy. We got to try and make sure we put our players in the best possible position to be successful. And he's just got an innate feel for that. It's just a knack for understanding what your kids do well and then implementing it.
So I know he's top 5, but he keeps doing this. Is Lane Kiffin the best play caller in college football?
Right now, you'd have to make the argument that he is. In terms of the shifting of personnel, new personnel, people who are new to the scheme, maybe new to the program, getting kids to play at a high level early when you haven't had them for 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very, very fair argument.
Okay. All right. Let's go to, are they, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but Tom Luganville on the show, Bama's win was unbelievable this weekend. I don't want to take anything. I think Bama and Georgia have the 2 best wins, Lugs. I don't think you just go to Neyland and win, and you don't just go to Athens, as you know, and Sanford Stadium and win. So, power rankings today. Not all 16, but the first 2 are, and I know because September's football is in the books. Next time we play, it'll be October. Who's number 1, 2, 3? Do you have some teams there that you would rank SEC power rankings?
I mean, when you're looking at the SEC and are you talking about nationally or just with the conference? Just with the conference. Well, I think we have to step back right now and see what happens with Oklahoma and John Batir. Okay. In fairness, because boy, what a devastating hit that not only is, but depending on how quickly he can come back, how devastating it could be. Right. So we don't quite know with them right now. I think you have to look at Alabama and Ole Miss right now as being towards the top. All right. You could put them 1-2, 2-1, whatever you want to do. I still think Georgia's a pretty good football team. I really do. I think the thing when you're looking at the league, Bo, is how high is the floor, right? When the floor is not Vanderbilt, what does that say about the strength of the league?
Hell, Mississippi State's the most improved team. Last year they were awful, and now, Luke, they've already beat Arizona State. They could beat a bunch of other Power 4 teams outside the conference.
And they very easily could have won the game the other day. Obviously, 5 turnovers between the 2 teams, 3 for Mississippi State. But you watch them and they look different, right? They just look improved. They look like a year 2 coaching staff and a group of players that have bought in and kind of have seen some confidence because the execution has been there. So, top to bottom, it's interesting. If you're going to sit there and say, okay, well, who's been most disappointing? Is it LSU? Is it Florida? I would probably say right now it's LSU. Something's wrong there offensively. But I would say the top 2 are Ole Miss and Alabama right now. You could throw a ton of teams in there.
Right.
3 through 6 or 7.
Right.
Right. And it's really, really competitive. I think the other thing, too, that you got to pay close attention to, go through, and not just in the SEC, go through college football this past weekend or the last 2 weekends and look at how many matchups, not just high profile, just matchups overall, are being decided by one possession.
I know.
The dispersal of talent across college football has leveled the playing field, and the quarterback position now becomes more important than it ever has before, because in order to win a one possession game, you're going to have a guy that can handle that moment. And we're seeing it each and every week. And that's why, like, there's no gimmies anymore. There's no, okay, well, we're going to take the field and we're going to beat this team. Not anymore. I don't think that exists anymore.
I agree. Tom Luganbill, national college football analyst with ESPN. All right. So speaking of the Tennessee game, hell of a football game. I was there. Devastating loss, but they played well. I think if I just want to bottom line it, Lugs, you can't gift Tennessee 2 defensive touchdowns and win a game like that against Heupel, who's also one of the best head coaches in the country.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tennessee. I think Tennessee's a playoff team. I think they are capable of being really, really good and are only going to get better. Clearly, the quarterback position is a significant upgrade. And that thing went back and forth, and it was a heck of a football game. And again, another one-possession game. And those types of games, when it becomes that tight, right, it's not necessarily the play that you make, it's the mistake that you avoid. I mean, look at Georgia last week versus Alabama. 4th and 1, and they don't just kick a field goal to tie it with 13 minutes to go.
I don't understand.
There's plenty of time there. So you make an error. All right, well, maybe that error cost you the game. Well, it looks like it did. Final score, 24-21. So you have to put yourself in a position. Look at Penn State, Oregon last week. All right, Drew Allar played pretty good until it mattered most, and he throws a pick. One-possession game, outplayed by Dante Moore. This is a recurring theme that you're going to see when it comes to avoiding the mistake that costs you the game when the score is a one-possession game.
Okay. All right. So Mississippi, this may not line up well this week, Luke's. Coming off of the game that you just talked about and the physicality and the way they lost to Tennessee, and now they got to regroup and go to A&M, which is coming off a fantastic win, and they beat Notre Dame, and they are a very physical team. Break this down for me. Minus 12 points. I just think MSU could maybe struggle this weekend just because of where this game lands and where it is. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think having these 2 games back-to-back is going to really test their maturity, but maybe most importantly, test their depth. Because depth is what you're going to need when you start to run the gauntlet, right? You get tired, you get fatigued, and you have to sub, and all of a sudden, all right, who's the guy that goes in? Does that guy play at a high efficient level? Is there a drop-off? Do you make a mistake with a reserve guy that you had to play because you're having to rest guys and rotate things through? Those things are all very, very real, especially on back-to-back weeks versus 2 physical football teams. However, with Mississippi State, as improved as they are, there's still a lot of upside there because if they avoid the self-inflicted wounds, they can play with Texas A&M.
Right.
That was the difference between Texas A&M and Auburn. All right, Auburn goes 0 for 13 on 3rd down. All right,
Lord.
And Texas A&M, they didn't do anything special. I mean, Auburn is hell on wheels on defense. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Texas A&M scored 16 points at home versus an offense that was 0 and 13 on 3rd down. So you don't think Mississippi State can play with those guys if they don't hurt themselves? I absolutely think they can.
Okay. I see where you're going there. And Brennan Thompson, it looks like Brennan Thompson is going to be able to go this weekend, and he's kind of the guy that Levy likes to, throw it deep, Shapen and Thompson. So we'll see if that is a factor this weekend. What do you do with LSU as abysmal and anemic as their offense is, considering the way that they recruit, Luke?
Well, there's a couple of things at play here with LSU, and it's not all Garrett Nussmeier. First of all, they have not had a healthy running back room the entire season. They have not been able to line up with their top 2 running backs healthy in the backfield at the same time or rotating the entire season long. They're breaking in an offensive line with 2 true freshmen on the right side and a left tackle replacing a first rounder, and that group has not gelled as quickly as they would have liked it to. Third, and again, this is all speculative here because there's been a lot of chatter, a lot of talk about Garrett Nussmeier and what type of injury he may be dealing with. Now, if that's an injury where it's in the torso, it's in the oblique, right? When you play the quarterback position and you generate your power, your velocity, or your ability to drive the ball into tight spots, you generate that from the ground up. Well, if he's in a position where he's either wincing or he feels like he can't unleash it, because that guy's a riverboat gambler, man. When he's at his best, he's a grip it and rip it type guy. And if you watched him against Ole Miss, he can't get any of that power behind the football. There's just something missing there. I don't know how injured he is. I don't necessarily know if he's injured at all. I'm just going off of what a lot of the talk has been about him because he does not look the same. So you're dealing with a quarterback right now that I think is playing out of sync and out of rhythm, maybe a little bit in his head, without the ability to run the football and an offensive line that's in flux. So there are a variety of things that are hurting them offensively. Defensively, they're going to be good enough to play in every game. So they're always going to be in the game because they've really improved on that side of the football.
Okay. Hugh Freeze and that offense is abysmal too. And he's moved it everywhere. Arkansas State, Ole Miss with Bo Wallace and Chad Kelly and so on, and Malik Willis and the other QB at Liberty. They threw for 125 yards and ran for 52. Can they get this thing turned around on the offensive side? Because like you said, DJ Durkin and the defense are damn good, Luke's.
So offensively, it's not about players with Auburn. It's about execution. They can't get out of their own way. They're 2 steps back, 1 step forward all the time. In their 2 SEC games, Bo, they're 3 for 28 on third down. 3 for 28.
Good.
Now think about that. So here's what ends up happening. You're constantly playing from behind the chains. You're constantly in second and third and long. Well, then what does that make you? It makes you one-dimensional. They know you can't run it. Everybody in the stadium, including the popcorn vendor, knows exactly what's coming. Mm-hmm. So what happens is teams load up and they just pin their ears back and they come after the quarterback. Well, now you can't run the ball. You're in 3rd and 11 plus all the time. So you're in obvious passing situations and you're going to get a distinct pass rush. Now, listen, Auburn's not playing well, but their biggest issue right now is penalties, and not just pre-snap penalties, live penalties. They'll have a pre-snap penalty and then be in 1st and 15. Okay, well, let's just say they decide to run it and they gain 4. Okay, well, now they're in 2nd and 11. They decide to throw it, incomplete pass. Well, now they're in 3rd and 11, and it's constant. So they're never in rhythm. They're never in sync as an offense. So for me, the penalty side of it is what is hurting Auburn more than anything else. That's not a talent thing. What that is, that's a mental toughness. That's a discipline thing. And Hugh Freeze may have to go back to the drawing board and start really evaluating guys and saying, hey, fellas, if you're not going to get it done, we're going to find somebody that can, and create an environment of competition. I don't care what you're making in NIL. I don't care who you're quote unquote supposed to be. If you're not producing, we cannot win with you. And that's the point that Auburn's at right now, because you're right, man. On defense, holy smokes, is Auburn good.
But you know how they are wired. I mean, he's got to win some games, or some people may not agree, but it doesn't matter. They may cut ties, Luke.
Well, that's the nature of the profession, and oftentimes it's the nature of the profession more so at that place than anywhere else.
Right.
Right. I've always called that job "you're hired to be fired," and listen, you're right. They've got to win games, but right now they're not a smart football team, Bo. Okay. They are not a smart football team, and if you play dumb, you're going to lose.
If Ole Miss and LSU, no, I'm sorry, Ole Miss and Tennessee played on a neutral field this weekend.
Oh,
who like Atlanta or something? Who do you like and why?
Well, as much as I think Joey Aguilar is an upgrade over Nico from a year ago, the one thing he's done, and I've done 4 of his games over the course of the last 3 years when I was doing midweek Sunbelt games, is he can be really, really good, but he can also make dumb decisions with the football. And he will put the ball in harm's way because that's his mentality, and you love it, but you're going to have to live with some of the bad. I would probably lean towards Ole Miss right now because the quarterback has been so risk-averse that they don't worry about him screwing the game up, right? Yeah. And while he doesn't have Aguilar's experience, right now he's shown to be a little bit more prudent when it comes to preserving the football.
All right. Rhett Lashley, Bobby Petrino, John Summerall, Dan Mullen. How you feel about those guys? Any of those guys, or all of them to Arkansas, among others?
So let me ask you this question: is the Arkansas job better than SMU right now?
Well, it's a good question because SMU got in the ACC, and the path of least resistance is better in the ACC than it is in the SEC, as far as you know. I mean, as well as you know, of getting to the college football playoff, because last year was an obvious example.
Right. And you could make a real serious argument that SMU has more private money to invest in football being great, combined with what you just said, because the path of least resistance is there, right? The market that they're in, like, think about it from just a high school recruiting perspective. One of the toughest things about the Arkansas job is there's no players in state. You have to go into everybody else's backyard to build your roster through the high school ranks. Now, there may be, 2 to 3 guys, each and every year that are good enough to play at Arkansas, but by and large, you don't have that. So what happens in the transfer portal with bounce back guys? You don't have that luxury. Like, for example, in the Dallas Metroplex where SMU is located right now, if they wanted to, they don't have to get on an airplane to recruit an entire high school recruiting class.
Good point.
They can drive 45 minutes in any direction. All right, now, consider the players that they lose out on, okay? Somebody decides to go to Oklahoma. Somebody decides to go to Texas A&M. And they're from the Dallas Metroplex, and they enter the portal. Guess where they're going?
SMU.
They're going to come back home, and they're going to go to SMU. Arkansas doesn't have that luxury, right? So it's a really difficult job when it comes to competing with on-field product in terms of level of player. Now, if you sat there and said, okay, well, Arkansas has got, we're going to live in a world where Arkansas has unlimited resources. Right now, do they have the clout and do they have the perception of going out in the open market and beating LSU or Alabama or Texas or Oklahoma on a player in the portal? No, they don't.
We'll leave it there. Tom Luganbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. Thanks, Lugs. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, buddy. See ya.
Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Jets and Dolphins and selecting Jalen Waddle for higher than 9.5 fantasy points. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code OUTOFBOUNDS to score $100 in bonus funds. When you play your first $5, that's promo code OUTOFBOUNDS on the Underdog app. All the show will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts shortly. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. That show went by in 10 minutes. We'll see you tomorrow.